Oh, fantastic. Thanks for having me.
All right. So I read something that you fell in love with the game of soccer by watching your kids play. So tell me about your evolution and falling in love with this sport, and then to eventually now owning 2 teams.
Yeah, wow. I grew up small town Iowa, and so really the sport didn't exist as I was growing up, which means I'm old. And my kids started playing the game, enjoyed that, coaching them, going to games, started to play as an adult, and just my passion came, from the kids just having fun, saying this is a fantastic game.
Kyle, talk to me a little bit about owning 2 clubs. You're in USL, obviously inducted into the USL Hall of Fame, by the way, congrats. And now you own a team in Italy. Talk to me about the idea of owning a team in Italy. Like, what is it that you're hoping to get out of it? Because I know you can't really pull profit out of these clubs. It's very difficult. You're essentially asked to, spend a lot of money, not make a lot. And how come you didn't buy a team in MLS? Is there anything that stopped you in MLS?
Okay, a lot of questions there. I think, having 2 clubs. I mean, Des Moines Menace, I've owned that for 26 years. And fun, fantastic, love having that. I think for me, ending up with Parma and Serie A is just my, certainly I'm a business person, entrepreneur, but my passion for Italy, my passion for soccer, and to me to have Parma as a dream come true. I think the MLS model is a interesting model, but I prefer I'll call it the flexibility from an Italian standpoint, and from anywhere outside of the MLS standpoint about what you can do and player development and those points. So I'm thrilled to be in Parma, and no knock on the MLS, but happy to be there.
Kyle, what's the expectation for Parma this season? You've signed a lot of brilliant players, you're playing well, having some really big games. What's the goal for this year?
I'm first disappointed that none of my signings were chosen by you guys as the most important transfer window signings, but we'll see at the end of the year if you regret saying that. I think from an expectation standpoint, I mean, certainly, we were 3 years in Serie B, and, for us, first thing you have to do is, acclimate to Serie A, get used to that, and hopefully just continue to move up what we do from a table standpoint. I think certainly, simplistically, make sure we maintain the category, but more importantly, continue to grow where we are from a club in Serie A. So expectation, hopefully, is not to solely maintain the category, but move further up into what we're doing. But it's a game-by-game thing.
Kyle, it's so exciting that Parma's back in Serie A, right? And there's such a grand history with the club. When we were growing up, they were winning European silverware. Obviously, your goal is, you want. I know you want Parma to be competing at the best of the best, highest tournaments, and it's kind of like a walk before you run situation right now. But did you envision that you're at this level in this journey right now, just a couple of seasons into your ownership?
It's 3 games into the season, not counting the Copa. You've had a great 3 games against 3 very, very difficult teams. I mean, in cliche, you got to play everybody twice, so you just start off with 3 difficult teams. And I think to be where we're at, I feel good about how the season's going. See how those words age for me. But I think we've got a roster that's fairly consistent. Some of these players are their 5th season with us, and we're young and growing. And so my hope is, with a young, growing roster that's getting used to playing together, certainly acclimating in the new guys, that can allow that consistency, time together, and youth can have the growth of what we do. So hopefully we continue to grow and move up and get back to Parma playing in Europe.
Nice, exciting. Kyle, before we end the show, I want you to give me some advice, please. Similarly to yourself, I bought into a minority share of a USL team.
Yeah, you guys are so similar.
A USL League One team. We are so similar. One day I'll be able to buy a Serie A club. The team in USL League One is FC Naples. So what is your advice about being an owner of a USL club?
Yeah, I'm obviously a pro USL. League 2 and League 1 is continue to get to be a bigger difference in what happens from the professionalization of USL League 1. I mean, certainly from my standpoint, before I answer your question, our plans right now is to put a USL C team, a championship team in Des Moines in a new stadium in downtown Des Moines. And so obviously I'm pro the league, I'm pro the pro side of the league, which League Two is amateur. I think advice, you gotta engage with it's sports. You have to engage with your local fan base. You have to get them interested in what you're doing and continue to grow from that standpoint and provide a professional environment for your players to come in to grow. And I think it's going to be about the fans. It's going to be about engaging your community. I would probably challenge you on asking you what you're doing on the women's side. Are you considering a Super League team, or what are you thinking? So you want some type of equity between your USL League One men's team and something on the women's side?
Kyle, you actually just brought up a good point in my mind, because you said you have to engage your local community, and that also involves engaging local superstars. You mentioned, maybe breaking news, I'm not sure, I haven't checked this out, but you're starting a USL Championship team in Iowa. Any idea of bringing Caitlin Clark in on that ownership?
Ooh.
Well, interesting. So as a freshman, so Caitlin went to the same high school as my kids, so I know Caitlin. And Caitlin, as a freshman in high school, was first-team All-State in soccer. So the better question may be, do you want to bring in Caitlin to play for our women's team here in Des Moines, if and when we announce that? But Caitlin right now is kind of busy, so I don't know how that's going to fit in. But she's a fantastic soccer player, was back in the day before she had to give it up for this other sport that she plays. But yeah, certainly having Caitlin as an owner, like I said, great woman, fantastic, person. So not a bad idea.
Man, she is some athlete, huh?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, she's fun. Any sport.
All right, one more quick one from me. All our colleagues got to go to Parma for the AC Milan match a few weeks ago, and they all came back just absolutely raving and bragging about all the Parmigiano Reggiano that they ate, and the prosciutto and all of that. And so I'm just curious, how big of a factor was that when you were looking at teams to buy and you were like, yep, Parma, this is the one for me?
Well, there's great food in Parma, but there's great food in a lot of places in Italy. For me, Parma was probably not about the food and more about a whole lot of other things, like the fans and the history and the opportunities that provide there. So we've got a couple wineries just west of there, so I'm covered for the area.
Wine, cheese, and prosciutto.
Done.
Yes, please.
And
Sign
football?
me up. Kyle, we'll see you there in a couple weeks.
Love to host you. I'm heading there myself soon. So
Amazing.
Sorry I missed you when you guys were there for the Milan game.
I know. We really missed out. Definitely a big case of FOMO. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Best of luck the rest of the season. We look forward to watching you guys.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right,
See
guys.
y'all. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Kyle.